Welcome along to another BMW DIY E39 M5 how-to guide, and today we're going to be looking at changing our cam cover gaskets on both sides of the engine, so bank 1 and bank 2. And the reason we're changing these is that the gaskets on this car, possibly original, I've certainly never had the cam covers off to inspect under there. I've done all my inspections using a bore scope to make sure everything's fine, and time has now got on with these gaskets and they're starting to weep a little bit of oil underneath, as can be seen what I've just wiped on my finger. Whilst it's not a massive amount, it's more of an annoyance, and it'll only get worse as rubber gaskets with age become brittle and eventually crack, then allow oil to pass through. So we're going to be changing these on this car, mainly because it is now a dedicated track car and we don't want to be dropping oil anywhere, especially on the racetrack and especially at the Nürburgring, where we've just come back from doing a circuit days track day out there. So we'll have a bit more for you on the track car in another video, and that was the major winter project which we've discussed in previous videos. This is the kit that you'll need to do the job. So you'll need a gasket for the bank on the driver's side or bank 1, gasket for the bank on the passenger side or bank 2, some rubber bung gasket type things which are for the bolts, and there are two different types. I think you need 16 of this type and 4 or 8 of this type. Either way, we've got plenty because they come in bulk packs and we've got some spares then for future. All this little lot should cost you no more than around about £50 or £60, depending on where you get it from. So to get at the cam covers, I'm going to have to strip quite a lot off the car first. So we're going to have to take the intake pipe work off. Very simple, couple of Jubilee clips. Remove my strut brace on mine, the intake ducting and intake air filter housings. If you've got additional things such as heat shields, which we discussed in a previous video which we made, that's going to have to come off. As you can see, it fouls the access to the cam cover. And if you've moved your oil filter housing over like I've done to accommodate the pipework for the oil cooler, then you're going to have to remove that as well, and you just move it to one side, very easy to do. Once you've taken all the intakes off for the plenum and also the clean air for the cabin, then you can remove the 10mm domed nuts from the plenum and remove the plenum to gain access to the underneath. So once they're all off, it's simply a case of lifting it up evenly and removing it. Once you remove the plenum cover, this is what you'll be faced with: the intake trumpets and tracting. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 and 8 are all identical, so they can be interchanged wherever, it doesn't really matter. 1 and 5 are unique in the sense of where they're routed and the shape and the orientation. So to remove them, you'll need an M8 socket with a long extension. I suggest you crack each one off using a small ratchet. Then once you've done that, you'll be able to use a like a screwdriver style impact gun to remove them all just by whizzing them all off quite quickly. Once you've removed all the trumpets, stick some bit of tissue down each throttle body just to stop it allowing any debris into the throttle body mechanism. No large items are going to fall through due to the throttle butterfly, as you can see in there, but it stops anything else dropping through so you can catch it. Then you're going to have to remove all these 10mm hex heads from each side of the throttle body gasket plates. And then you'll be able to lift off the plenum base once you've removed the intake PCVs. Then once the plenum is removed, we can remove the spark plug covers and remove the coil packs, and then we can start to remove the cam cover gaskets. Once you remove the coil packs and the retaining nuts on top of the cam cover, you can see under the rubber bushings where it's particularly bad and oil's been leaking, and that's what's going to cause the issue. If your gaskets were really bad, then the spark plug wells would have been filled up as well. I've had no issues with that, and probably caught it just in time, if I'm honest. So once you remove the 11 cam cover nuts and you can lift off the cam cover, it might take a gentle bit of prying or tapping with a soft mallet. Don't go using a hammer. Use a nylon mallet just to tap it, just to break the seal. Then you'll be able to lift it out of the way. Once your cam cover's been removed, then you can examine the camshaft area for any potential issues which might be seen. It's pretty clean in there. It's about what I'd expect for 128,000 miles. There's no visible sign of the chain tensioner moving from down in there. So we can fit as new gaskets and get the cam cover back on. The internal gasket you fit direct to the cam cover. The external gasket fit to the cylinder head first. Use a drop of Hylamar to hold it in place, especially on the half moons at the back, stop them popping out. Then that should aid your refitting of the cam cover. Pop out the old rubber washers on top of the cam cover so it's easier to relocate it when you refit it, then put the new ones in afterwards. Once you've done bank number 1, then you can go on to bank number 2. Slightly more difficult as you've got a few bits to remove first, and you've also got a few lines in the way, but nothing too arduous. So you're going to need to disconnect the battery cable. Simply a case of a couple of Torx bolts under the cover, then it all lifts off in one go. Then be able to move it out of the way, pop a rubber glove over it, just as some insulation so it doesn't drop down and short circuit or anything. For the oil filter housing, remove the pressure bleed off valve, drain back pipe from the side, then you'll be able to lift it off out of the way as the main oil feed and returns are long enough to allow movement, and then you'll be able to have good access all the way down. Once you've got bank number 2's cam cover off again, you can inspect the camshafts and the oil ways to make sure that there's nothing amiss. And you can also inspect the chain tensioner guides for the cam to cam timing chain and the guide for the V. As you can see on mine, well, I can, but you may not be able to, that there is no issues. The tabs are still in place at the top. If the timing chain guide had failed, generally if it snaps in half you'll see it trying to protrude at the top here, as I've seen on a couple of S62s over the years. And if everything's good, then you can put your new gaskets on and reassemble. Once you've done both cam covers, you can then refit the lower plenum, just taking care to make sure that you get the idle spin control valve pipe on and the crankcase vent pipe as well. Then you can put your PCV valves back in and bolt your trumpets back up. Once you've got your car back together, run the engine up to temperature and make sure that everything's okay, and check for any oil leaks. And after a few warm-up cycles, just make sure that the cam cover bolts are nice and tight still. So that's it for this how-to video. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more updates and give this video a like if you found it useful. And the much promised winter project of the track car, that video will be online shortly, and you'll be able to get an idea of what's gone into the project over the last 4 months to get it ready and to where it's at today. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.